You might think you're being a good man, but these 9 habits are quietly turning you into her backup plan. Most men do at least one of them, and it's always the one they never realize until it's too late. You ever sit there wondering why it feels like no matter what you do, it's never enough? You try to be patient, understanding, kind, yet somehow you still end up being the one left questioning yourself. You replay conversations in your head, wondering if you said too much, cared too much, or expected too little. Maybe you've been that man who gave everything to prove you were different, only to realize that effort doesn't always earn respect. If this is you, then you already know what it feels like when a woman starts pulling away. You feel her tone change, her texts get shorter, her energy distant. And you can't help but think, what did I do wrong? So you overcompensate. You text more. You try harder. You show her that you care. But the more you give, the more it seems she withdraws. Maybe this feels familiar. You tell yourself you're being a good man, respectful, loyal, patient. But deep down, you feel this quiet ache like you're being punished for caring. You start to realize being the nice guy doesn't guarantee you'll be valued. And that's the part no one tells you. You see, there are things men do, without even realizing, that destroy attraction, respect, and trust. They seem small at first. The way you respond to her moods, how quickly you forgive, how often you explain yourself just to keep the peace. But those small things, they add up. And slowly she stops seeing you as the man she once admired. If this is you, you've probably felt that helpless frustration, the kind that keeps you awake at night, scrolling through old messages, trying to understand where it all went wrong. Maybe you've told yourself she just changed. But what if it wasn't only her that changed? What if it was how you showed up that made her stop seeing you the same way? Every man has blind spots, moments where his intentions are pure, but his actions make him look weak. Moments where he confuses love with validation, attention with connection, and patience with permission. And the truth is, women can feel it. They can sense when a man loses his edge, when he starts needing her approval more than her respect. And once she feels that shift, everything changes. If this is you, understand this. It's not about being colder or harder or emotionless. It's about learning where to draw the line, knowing what to stop doing before it costs you her respect, your peace, and your identity as a man. Because every time you chase what's pulling away, you lose a little more of yourself. And the moment a man loses himself, he loses her too. So the question isn't just what should you do with women? The real question is, what are you doing right now that's quietly making her stop seeing you as the man she fell for? You've probably been told your whole life that being a good man means being accommodating, patient, and understanding. That if you just show her your heart, she'll see your worth. That if you love her hard enough, stay loyal long enough, and prove yourself over and over again, she'll eventually realize you're the one. But deep down, you've seen the truth. It doesn't always work that way, does it? Most men get this wrong because they confuse good intentions with strong presence. They think relationships are built on effort alone, but effort without self-respect turns into desperation. A woman doesn't lose interest because you're too kind. She loses interest when your kindness costs you your backbone. There's a difference between loving her and needing her, between caring deeply and chasing endlessly. And that difference is everything. You see, a woman doesn't fall for you because you worship her. She falls for you because she feels your direction, your certainty, your quiet confidence. The kind that says, I want you, but I don't need you to feel whole. Most men never learn that balance. They give and give until there's nothing left, hoping she'll finally see their value. But the moment you start convincing her to choose you, she's already made up her mind not to. Masculine energy isn't about dominance or coldness. It's about grounded clarity. It's about knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what lines you refuse to cross, no matter how much you care. And that's where most men fail. They bend their standards just to avoid losing her. They say yes when they mean no. They let things slide because they fear being alone. They trade their peace for connection. And in doing so, they lose both. Here's a truth that stings. When a man loses his self-respect, the relationship is already over. Even if she stays, she'll never look at you the same way. Because women don't fall in love with compliance, they fall in love with conviction. They want a man who listens but doesn't fold, who feels deeply but stands firm, who can care without collapsing. If this feels uncomfortable, it's supposed to, because the world's been teaching men the wrong lessons. You've been told to prioritize her happiness over your own, to never make her upset, to always compromise, to keep her secure. But here's the paradox. When you make her comfort your mission, you become invisible to her desire. A woman doesn't want a man who plays safe. She wants a man who leads with strength and calm certainty even when it creates tension. Let's get something straight. Real masculinity isn't about control, it's about containment. It's your ability to hold your emotions without letting them run you, to stay steady when she tests you, calm when she provokes you, patient when she withdraws. That doesn't mean you suppress how you feel. It means you master it. You lead yourself first. Because until you do, you can't lead anyone else. The reason most men fail with women isn't because they're bad men. It's because they abandon their center. They let her emotions dictate theirs. When she's happy, they're confident. When she's cold, they panic. When she pulls away, they chase harder. And slowly, their entire sense of worth becomes tied to how she feels about them. That's when a man stops being a man and starts becoming a mirror of her moods. The core of masculine strength is emotional groundedness. It's the power to say, I understand how you feel, but I won't lose myself trying to fix it. That's not cold, that's clarity. Because if you can't hold your own frame, you'll always live inside hers. And the man who lives inside her emotional storm will always drown in it. You have to remember something crucial. Attraction isn't built through words, it's built through energy. A woman feels your energy long before she processes your actions. If your energy says, I need your approval, she'll lose interest no matter how well you treat her. But if your energy says, I care for you, but I stand on my own, she can't help but respect that. Because that's rare now. Most men are chasing comfort instead of purpose, and that's one of the deepest masculine principles there is. You must stay rooted in your purpose, not her perception. Your purpose is what keeps you steady when her emotions are unpredictable. Your purpose is what makes you attractive without even trying, because when a man is mission-driven, he doesn't react. He decides. He doesn't beg for reassurance. He creates certainty through action. When you start living like that, you stop worrying about how to keep a woman. You start focusing on keeping yourself. Because the man who keeps his discipline, his direction, and his respect never needs to chase what's fading. He becomes magnetic by simply being who he is. So if you're tired of being the man who always gives, always fixes, always ends up forgotten, stop doing what every lost man does. Stop over-explaining. Stop seeking approval. Stop mistaking peace for passivity. You don't need to prove your worth through effort. You prove it through presence, through stillness, self-control, and quiet power. Because when you become the man who can stay calm when she's emotional, centered when she's uncertain, and focused when she tests you, you stop being an option. You become the standard. That's the shift most men never make. They chase what they should attract. But the moment you embody strength, purpose, and peace, you stop asking, what should I do with women? And start realizing the real power was never in what you do with her. It's in who you choose to be when she's with you. It's late, the kind of late where the city finally goes quiet, where even the lights from the street seem softer, and your reflection in the window looks a little older than it did yesterday. You're sitting there on the edge of your bed, phone in your hand, that familiar ache in your chest, the one that's equal parts confusion and regret. You scroll through old messages, reading words that used to feel alive. You can almost hear her voice, the way she used to laugh, how she'd tease you, how she'd say, I like the way you make me feel safe. You thought that meant something permanent. You thought being her safe place would make her stay. But somewhere along the way, things changed. The tone, the pace, the warmth. Now her replies come hours later, shorter, colder, like she's talking to someone she used to know. And every time you see her name light up your screen, your stomach twists, because you already know it won't be what you want to hear. You tell yourself not to overthink it, You tell yourself to stay calm, to be patient, to show her that you're different, that you're not like the rest. But deep down, you can feel it. Something in the dynamic has shifted. You're no longer leading, you're reacting. You've gone from being the man she admired to the man waiting for her next mood to decide how you'll feel. You remember the first time she pulled away. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't dramatic. It was a small silence. A text she didn't answer. A night she seemed distracted. A kiss that felt half-hearted. You brushed it off, told yourself she was just tired. But that silence, it was the beginning. You started chasing what was fading, double texting, explaining yourself, apologizing for things that didn't need apologies, trying to prove you were worth staying for, and every time you did, you could feel your power slipping through your hands. In the mirror, your own eyes looked foreign, tired, uncertain. You weren't angry at her, not really. You were angry at yourself for abandoning your own strength to keep her close, for giving up your peace just to hold on to someone who'd already left in spirit. You can still remember that last night with Sas, the quiet one, when you realized it was over. She sat on the couch, scrolling her phone, pretending not to feel the distance between you, and you asked softly, "What's wrong?" She said nothing, without looking up. But everything about her said everything. You wanted to fight for it, for her. But something inside whispered, "Not like this." Because it wasn't love anymore. It was survival. It was you trying to resurrect something that was already gone. And in that silence, something shifted, not in her, in you. For the first time in a long time, you stopped trying to fix it. You just sat there, still, breathing. And in that moment, you realized how much of yourself you'd given away piece by piece. Every time you said yes when you wanted to say no. Every time you softened your truth to avoid tension. Every time you tried to earn the respect that should have been natural. You started to see the pattern, not just with her, but with every woman before her. You thought love meant sacrifice. You thought loyalty meant losing yourself quietly. But now you saw it differently. Love without boundaries isn't love, it's dependency. Patience without standards isn't peace, it's self-betrayal. And effort without self-respect isn't noble, it's weakness disguised as virtue. You walked outside that night. The air was cold, the kind of cold that wakes you up. You looked up at the sky, quiet, endless, and for the first time you weren't thinking about what she was doing or who she was with, you were thinking about you. How somewhere along the way you'd lost the man you were supposed to be, the one with focus, with purpose, with calm authority. You'd traded him for approval, for comfort, for connection that wasn't even real anymore. You realized something powerful. She didn't stop loving you because you weren't enough. She stopped respecting you because you stopped being you, because you stopped walking in your truth and started walking in her shadow. That night, you didn't send the text you wanted to send. You didn't call. You didn't beg. You just sat in silence, feeling the weight of everything you'd been running from. And for the first time, that silence didn't hurt. It healed. You started remembering what it feels like to be grounded in yourself, to wake up and not check your phone first, to go to the gym not to impress her, but to keep a promise to yourself, to speak with calm certainty, not emotional reaction, to lead your life again, not live in reaction to hers. And when she eventually reached out, curious, distant, testing the waters, you felt nothing but peace, not pride, not anger, just clarity. Because you'd finally learned the lesson most men never do. You don't earn respect by overgiving. You don't keep love by proving you're worthy. You keep it and attract it by being the man who never loses himself in the process. And maybe that's the real message of it all. The 9 things a man should never do with women aren't rules about behavior, they're reminders about identity. Don't chase, don't explain, don't justify, don't shrink, don't confuse love with validation, don't silence your truth for comfort, don't beg for attention you've already earned, don't make her emotions your mission, and above all, don't forget who you are. Because the moment you lose that, you lose everything that made her want you in the first place. So now, as the night fades into morning and the first light touches your room, you feel something different, or if it's something solid. It's not bitterness, it's not regret, it's quiet power, the kind that says, "I finally remember who I am." You've been told a lot of things about women that sound right but feel wrong, things that make sense on paper but never seem to work when real emotions get involved. And every time it doesn't work, you blame yourself. You think maybe I wasn't patient enough or maybe I cared too much. But what if the problem isn't you? What if the problem is what you were taught to believe about how to love a woman? The first false belief most men carry is this: if I just give her everything, but around my time, my effort, my heart, she'll see how loyal I am and never leave. It sounds noble, but it's rooted in fear. Because when you give everything too fast, too soon, you're not showing love. You're showing a lack of boundaries. You're saying, I'll abandon myself just to keep you happy. And no matter how good your intentions are, that kind of energy doesn't inspire love. It inspires comfort. Here's the truth most men never hear. Love without self-respect will always look like begging. A woman doesn't fall for you because you're endlessly available. She falls for you because she can feel your independence inside your affection. When she senses that you want her but don't need her to feel whole, that's when attraction deepens. Because desire doesn't grow in comfort, it grows in respect. She didn't pull away because you were too kind. She pulled away because your kindness lost its edge. She stopped feeling your direction. And when a man loses direction, the relationship loses polarity. Here's another false belief: if I make her happy, she'll stay. Men repeat this one like it's sacred truth. You bend your schedule, your values, your focus, all to make sure she's okay. You take on her moods like they're your mission, and over time you become her emotional caretaker instead of her partner. But a man's job isn't to keep her constantly happy, it's to stay grounded when she's not. Because women don't trust men who change with their emotions, they trust men who can contain theirs. The moment she feels that your peace depends on her approval, she stops feeling safe with you. She didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself. You got so caught up in trying to keep her close that you stopped being the man she was drawn to. You lost your edge, you stopped leading, and she felt it. That silent shift from masculine certainty to emotional dependency. The third false belief goes even deeper. If I prove I'm the perfect man, she'll finally love me right. That belief destroys more men than heartbreak ever could. Because it makes you believe that love is earned through performance. You become addicted to fixing, to proving, to perfecting. You start competing with her disappointment, trying to outdo her doubts with your devotion. But love doesn't work like that. You can't convince someone to value you. You can only embody someone worth valuing, and that means you stop performing and start being. Let this sink in. A woman can't admire a man who's always auditioning for her approval. Admiration is born from consistency, not compliance. From calm certainty, not emotional chasing. When you stop trying to be what she wants and start standing firm in who you are, that's when she finally sees you again. Most men were raised to think being masculine means being emotionless, that calm equals cold. But the truth is the opposite. Real masculinity isn't about avoiding emotion. It's about mastering it. It's feeling deeply but not drowning. It's caring without collapsing. It's standing firm when the world around you tests every part of who you are. So understand this. You're not losing women because you're not enough. You're losing yourself in the process of trying to be too much, too nice, too available, too flexible, too afraid to say no because you think no will make her leave. But no doesn't push her away. It reminds her you have a spine. Boundaries don't kill attraction, they create it. A man without lines can never be respected, and a woman can't love what she doesn't respect. You have to stop thinking love means sacrificing your identity. Love is not supposed to drain you, it's supposed to expand you. But that only happens when two people come together as whole individuals, not one person losing themselves to keep the other satisfied. The men who get this wrong aren't weak, they're simply asleep. Asleep to their worth, asleep to their masculine nature, asleep to the truth that peace and power can exist in the same heart. So this isn't about becoming colder, it's about becoming clear. It's about knowing what not to do, what not to give away, what not to chase, what not to tolerate. Because when you stop trying to earn love, you start living from it. When you stop chasing her validation, you start radiating presence. And that's when everything changes. Remember this: the man who stands still in his truth will always be more attractive than the man who runs after her approval. You don't need to play games. You don't need to manipulate. You just need to wake up to the truth that the strongest love you'll ever have starts with the one you give yourself. And once that's solid, you'll never fear losing someone again, because you'll finally realize you were never the one who needed to be chosen. You were the one who needed to remember who you are. The 1% headman doesn't chase women, he doesn't play games, he doesn't beg for attention, and he doesn't lose himself trying to keep someone who was never meant to stay. He understands that attraction isn't built through effort, it's built through energy, through how he moves, how he speaks, how he carries himself when no one's watching. While most men operate from fear of losing her, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough, the 1% headman operates from alignment. He knows who he is, what he stands for, and what kind of energy he allows into his life. This is what he understands. He knows that chasing love out of emptiness only creates more emptiness, that the moment he makes a woman the center of his world, he loses his center. So instead of trying to control her, he controls himself. Instead of demanding loyalty, he inspires it, because he knows real power doesn't come from trying harder, it comes from being harder to shake. Most men move through relationships like they're walking on glass, afraid of saying the wrong thing, afraid of losing her approval. But the headman doesn't speak from insecurity, he speaks from truth. He's not loud, he's not arrogant, he's steady. He doesn't need to prove his worth because his worth is already proven in the way he shows up. He's the calm in the storm, not the cause of it. And when he looks at a woman, he's not looking for validation, he's looking for connection. That's the difference. This is how he leads with presence, not pressure. He's not trying to pull her into his world, he's creating a world so grounded she wants to be part of it. His focus is never doubt, how do I make her stay? It's, how do I keep growing so staying becomes natural? He knows that when a man's mission dies, the relationship dies with it. So his purpose is always alive, even when things get difficult, even when emotions run high. He stays rooted in who he is. He knows that masculine presence isn't about dominating someone. It's about embodying peace so deep it influences the entire room without a word. The 1% headman also understands timing. He knows when to speak and when silence says more. He knows that not every problem needs solving and not every emotion needs reacting. He listens, not to fix but to understand, because his power isn't in control, it's in clarity. He sees through the chaos and responds with intention. He's not led by mood, but by principle. That's what makes him rare. He doesn't fall apart when she pulls away. He doesn't lose sleep when things feel uncertain. He gives space, not to manipulate, but because he understands that real connection can only breathe when there's room for individuality. He knows she's not his possession, and he's not her project. He's her mirror, reflecting strength, peace, and direction. This is what separates him from the 99%. While other men are driven by reaction, the headman is driven by response. While others crave attention, he commands respect. He's not trying to be irresistible. He just is, because his energy is disciplined. His confidence doesn't come from compliments or validation. It comes from how he handles himself when no one is watching. He doesn't seek peace in her. He brings peace to her. He's not addicted to being desired. He's devoted to being dependable. He doesn't fear loss because he knows he's the source. He knows love will come and go, but purpose stays. And a man who lives with purpose never truly loses anything. He only evolves. The 1% headman has mastered the art of restraint. He doesn't overshare his plans. He doesn't beg for understanding. He moves in silence and lets results speak. His strength isn't in chasing at some doubt, it's in choosing. He doesn't let emotions steer him off his path. He lets them sharpen his awareness. When others get desperate, he gets disciplined. When others react, he reflects. And that reflection becomes his edge, his quiet authority that draws respect without demanding it. This is what he understands most. That love should add to your peace, not replace it. That connection should elevate your energy, not drain it. That a woman's respect isn't won by words, it's earned by consistency. And that presence, real, grounded, masculine presence, is louder than any confession of love. He doesn't avoid women, he just doesn't lose himself for them. He knows that a relationship is not a reward, it's a reflection. It reflects how much he values himself, how clearly he leads, and how deeply he's grounded in truth. And when he does love, he loves fully, but never foolishly. He gives his heart without handing over his power. He opens his soul without closing his standards, because he knows the difference between being available and being vulnerable. The 1% headman doesn't walk away because he doesn't care. He walks away because he does, because he values peace over proving a point, because he knows that love without alignment is just chaos in disguise, and that sometimes letting go is the most powerful form of leadership there is. He's not trying to impress women, he's trying to impress his future. He's not living for attention, he's living for alignment, and that's why he stands out, yet not because he's better than other men, but because he finally understands what most never do. You don't attract peace by finding the right woman. You attract peace by becoming the right man. There's a moment every man faces, quiet, unannounced, and heavier than heartbreak itself. It's when he finally stops asking, "Why doesn't she see my value?" and starts whispering, "Why did I stop seeing it myself?" He's sitting in the same silence that once felt like punishment, but now it feels like clarity. He realizes he spent so long trying to be chosen that he forgot what it feels like to choose himself. He's been chasing peace in someone else's presence, never realizing peace was waiting in his own. And in that stillness, something shifts. The need to prove fades. The urge to please dissolves. He starts breathing differently. Slower, deeper, like he's meeting himself for the first time in years. He sees that strength isn't found in being wanted, it's found in walking away from where he's misunderstood. That love doesn't mean losing your edge, it means holding your ground with compassion. In that moment, he's no longer the man trying to be enough for her, he's the man remembering he always was. You thought being patient, kind, and giving would make her stay. But now you understand was how it was never about how much you gave. It was about how much of yourself you lost while giving it. You've seen what happens when a man trades his peace for approval, when he confuses love with permission. But that version of you is gone now, because once a man remembers his worth, he stops begging for places that dim his power. He no longer chases to be seen, he stands to be respected, and that's the moment everything changes. Because the man who remembers himself never loses again.